Chapter 4 Ned Land. Commander Frigate was a good sailor whoever of the frigate he commanded, his vassal and he were one. He was the soul of the ship, as of the whale we are after. We had no doubts about it, and we could not let the man on board even discuss whether doubts that many ever had. He believed as some old believe in the Leviathan. For him, it was an act of faith, not logic. The monster existed without rid of seas, and it had sworn he would. He was the kind of a knight of the Rhode Islands, the Russian Delgazonian, going off to meet the dragon laying wasted to his island. Either Commander Frigate would kill the narwhal, or the narwhal would kill him. Would kill Commander Frigate. There was no middle course. The officers on board stared at their leader, feeling that wanted to head back to a disgusting argument to calculate the verity of chances to encounter, and see watched the expansive ocean. More than on the verity stood as countless of the duty he had been cursed under any circumstances, as long as the sun was in the sky overhead. The mats were full of sailors as so impatient that they would not be better to stay on deck. Even though the Abraham Lincoln was not yet following the suspects waters of the Pacific. As the crew asked nothing better to meet the unicorn fish, harpoon it, and bring it on board, they cut it up. It served to see a tremendously besides Commander Frigate. He had mentioned a certain some of those battalion layers received whoever the cabin boy or the sailor, master, officer, reserve, whoever sighted the animal first. I leave the reader of the imagining how I strain on board the Abraham Lincoln. As for me, I did not lag far behind the others, and personally I didn't share my daily watching. The frigate was likely a mythology Argus than the 100 Eyes. Only Consul appeared indifferent in what interests us. He alone was out of step with giant enthusiasm on board. As said before, Commander Frigate had carefully equipped his boat with various devices for hunting the gigantic creature. A whale ship that could have been better armed. We ever had knowing device that throw hot harpoons and blunderbusses, which would shoot bare arrows to silver guns exploding into shells. One of the forecasted special breaching a cannon. A thick barrel and narrow bore, just like one of those would appear in Expedition of 1867. This precise gun, invented by the Americans, could without slightest difficulty send a kinetic projectile weighing 9 pounds a distance of 10 miles. Abraham Lincoln therefore lacked no weapons of destruction, but it had something even better. It had a Need Land king of harpoons. A Need Land was a Canadian gift from exploring coalition had no rival to dangerous professions. He possessed the qualities of skill and colorlessness that courage, cunning, and extraordinary degree. It's only the covetous whales that could exist below the harpoon. Need Land was about 40. He was more than 6 feet tall and powerful built. Uncommonly communicative, sometimes violent, and very hot tempered with a throng. He attached one of those attention mostly because his piercing eyes. I think that Captain Frigate did wisely in talking about his on board. He knows with the whole crew, but causes an eye and an arm. He was like a powerful telescope, and at the same time, a Canada always ready to go off. To say Canadian and some say French, others untalked it as Ned Land was, but I must admit that he took a certain liking to me. But naturalists undoubtedly attracted him. For him, it was a chance to converse, and for opportunity, he had open old languages, of derivatives which still spoken in some parts of Canada. Our family came from the Quebec in the days when town would be belonging to the French. There comes a large clan of hardy fishermen. Little by little, Ned began to take pleasure in talking and enjoying listening to me telling of his adventures of the Arctic waters. He would recount the fishing expedition and combats with a great natural sense of poetry. His radicals took an epic form and felt after listening some Canadian Homer's seeing the little land far north. Since then, I got to know Neeland well, and thus I feel I can describe him accurately. We became old friends, united by unconditional bond which were born and protected by the greatest dangers. Ah, brave Ned! I only asked to live to another 100 years, so then your memory will remain with me much longer. And now, in his opinion about the sea monster. I forced to admit that he did not believe in the unicorn fish, that he was only on board to not share the general feeling of conviction. He couldn't avoid talking about although once I got him discussing the creature one magnificent evening on July 30th. It said that it was 3 weeks after he set sail on the frigate of Cabo Benico, 30 miles lower of the Franklin coast, the Tropic of Capricorn and Straits Tremeglin were less than 700 miles to the south. Within the week of the Abraham, we'll be sailing in the Pacific waters. Neil and I were sitting on the poop talking about one thing, another, and looking at mysterious sea without depths until now. Remind me our conversations to be the eyes of a man in a natural lake. I got around the great sea unicorn, discussing our chances of falling succeeding. Then seeing Ned let me talk without himself, I pursued myself more closely. Why is it, Ned? I asked. That you're not conviction this creature, regardless really exists? Do you have some spectral reason for being so spectacle? Before answering, the harpoon locked for several moments, as is often closed his eyes, as they said. Maybe I have, Monsieur Anrax. But a man like you, Ned, who's professionally a whaler, knows large marine animals with those imaginative, could easily accept the idea of huge sea creatures. You should be at least skeptical under circumstances. That's where you're wrong. That's where you're wrong, Professor. Ned answered. It's all right up to ordinary if you to believe in fabulous comets that stream across the sky and prehistoric monsters inside the earth. But the Estuarian archaeologist, nothing more than a bunch of fantasies. It's the same with a whaler. I hunted hundreds of them. Although many I killed a lot. We're not powerful or well armed. They have neither their tails nor their tusks were strong enough to crack the steel plates of a steamer. But Ned, they tell us ships haven't been pierced right through the narwhal tusk. Maybe wooden ships? Answered the Canadian. But I never seen it until I get some proof of concerning. I won't admit the ordinary whales, sperm whales, or unicorn fishes could do such a thing. But listen, Ned. No, Professor. No. You can make anything you want, but it's nothing like a giant octopus, maybe. You don't like this, Ned. An octopus is a mollusk name indicates the flabby nature of its flesh. Even therefore, such a thing, octopus is 500 feet long, they don't even have any bone structure, therefore never do the slightest damage to ships such as Scatanian or the Abraham Lincoln. So we're forced to admit the stories about the krakens and other monsters like nothing but pure fables. But you even know, Professor, naturalist theory, continued Ned. That landed Scott's silly tone voice. You still believe in personal possibility of enormous whales? Yes, Ned. Unlike mentioned basalogic facts, I believe there be powerful billed mammals belonging to the submarine kingdom of vertebrates. Like whales, tongues, and dolphins, they are with the tusks and great penetrating power. Said the harpooner, shaking his head with recommended like Vincent. But you must remember, I replied. If actually such an animal existed, if any inhabitants of the oceans will live in those layers, water seems to be several miles below the surface. There must be built some incredibly powerful way. Why? Asked Nell. Because incredibly shrink is needed to stay great depths. There is sound pressure there. Really? Ned blinking. Yes, I could give you some figures and prove it easily. Oh, figures, answered. You can make figures do whatever you want. Perhaps in business, Ned. But not Methnagals. Now listen. Pressure of atmosphere is represented by a column of water 32 feet high. In actual fact, The column of water would not be that high because they were dealing with seawater, which can greatly density than fresh water. Well, now, Ned, when you're driving down to the sea, there are 34 feet water between you and the surface. Your body is supporting additional pressure at one atmosphere more than 14.7 pounds per square inch on the surface. It follows that 302 feet as pressure is equal to the 10 atmosphere of 100 atmospheres at 3,200 feet. 1,000 atmospheres at 32,000 feet, about above 6 miles. This is the same way as you're saying it could reach such depths. In the ocean, your body will undergo pressure of 14,700 pounds per square inch. Now, Ned, do you know how many square inches there is the surface of your body? I have no idea, Mr. Lennox. About 2,600. That many? And right now there's a 26,000 square inches of your supporting pressure of 38,202 pounds. Without me noticing? Without you noticing. That's the reason why you're not squished such as pressure of the air. Exactly, it's the same. Pressure inside your body is thus equilibrium between the side and outside pressure, which allows you to bear up on a painless. But in the water, things are quite different. Yes, I see, answered Ned, who became more attentive, because the water surrounding you does not get in the side. That's right, Ned. It means it's 32 below the surface with under extra pressure of 38,202 pounds at 302 feet, 10 times the pressure of, or 382,000 pounds at 3,200 feet at 100 times the pressure of 3,822,000 pounds at 32,000 feet. 1,000 times that pressure is 38,202,000 pounds. Or other ways that you to be flattened as they pull between pressure and pressure. Good Lord! Well then, if you invertebrate several hundred years as long, divided both scales such as this, it must suffice to equal a millionth of square inch. The pressure must undergo must be measured hundreds of billions of pounds. So you can see how strong their bone structure and body will be able to resist such pressure. They must be built, answered Ned, with steel plates 8 inches thick like armed frigates. That's right, Ned. Then what damage could produce such an object traveling at high speed and striking a whole ship? Yes, you're right, maybe, answered the Canadian, bowing over those figures Vincent William given. Well, I've convinced you. You have convinced me one thing, Professor, and that is if such animals exist in the ocean, they would have to be strong as you say. But if they don't exist, your stubborn harpoon, how to explain happened to Scottania? Maybe it was, says he. Come on. It's not that it can't be true, replied Kane, ignoring Fanner's expression. But the answer is only proven by obstination here, probably nothing else. That day pursued him no further. No one can deny that what happened to Scottania. The hole was so real that it had been stomped upon that he didn't think it could be any surface that proved the hole like that do that. But his hole couldn't just be dealt itself, as since it improves underwater rocks. Many nearly necessary to set a weapon of such animal. Moreover, in the way of thinking. For those reasons stated above, the animals belong to the subkingdom of the vertebrates, class mammals, a group of positional forms from cetaceans. As one of the family of the London, well, a Gallo Catholic or a dolphin, or his genus or a species that's been sequentially cleared up later. But in order to solve this problem, one would have to seize unknowing monster in order to discuss. One would have to capture it, or to capture it. Harpoon it what in which was Neal's job. In order to harpoon to see it, which was the crew's job, in order to see it meet up with its which is a matter of chance.